I'm a millennial. Yes, I'm a millennial. I'm fully in the meat of the millennial generation. I don't know whether I should apologize for it or wear it with pride. Since we came of age, millennials have been having a hard time of it. We've been reamed on both ends by the boomers and the Gen Z. As I speak today, millennials are currently considered cheugy. Millennials and their interests, their fashion, their hobbies, social media, advertisers, they are fully obsessed with Gen Z. And millennials are now in our sunset years. We are considered uncool. Some of us are having meltdowns on TikTok, meltdowns in the form of raps. I know that when you start to rap about your generation, all hope is lost. Some of us are not relinquishing our time in the spotlight. So today I would like to do a lighthearted, just for fun, just my opinion, retrospective of millennial culture, all the millennial things. My name is Teresa. This is my crazy corner. I'm wearing a shirt with a shark on it and a fossil, and this is the millennial. Millennials, born between 1981 and 1996. Personally speaking, I am an elder millennial. I was born in the 80s. I graduated during the meat of the Great Recession. Jobs were hard to find. My degree was more or less useless, despite my guidance counselor giving me a list of things I could do with my degree. But in the end, I landed a job that I could have gotten without a college degree. I lived a life of underemployment, aimless drifting, and general first world angst. As I tried to pursue my romantic ideals of being a novelist. I lived with my parents. I didn't have to pay rent. I left school with student debt, but not that much student debt. And I was able to pay off my student debt while living with my parents and working my underemployed job as I focused on my personal fulfillment. At the height of the Instagram era, I fully embraced the millennial model of experiences over things. I became a minimalist. I started discarding all my treasured belongings. I got rid of all my books. I got rid of a lot of clothes. I got rid of knickknacks, sold it all, and I wanted to travel and Instagram it. I also did a fair share of eating hipster food, very expensive hipster food, mind you, but not anything that would put me into debt because I am, above all, very cheap. I fully embraced being a millennial. I'm still rocking my side part. I'm not getting rid of it. I like it. I have a few more pairs of skinny jeans in my closet, but I am embracing a fuller pant leg. Whether you like millennials or hate millennials, we can all agree that millennials had their moments. They had their time in the limelight. And now it is time to remember them. Millennial things. A retrospective from current millennial. Let's start with the color, rose gold or millennial pink. There was a moment, 2014, 2015, 2016, when rose gold was the color of all tech, and Pantone's 2016 color of the year was millennial pink, that blush pink. We saw it everywhere. We saw it on couches, velvet couches. We saw it on clothes. Oh my gosh. There were so many sweaters, blazers, tank tops, everything that you can make that blush millennial pink there in nail polish. It was there in design, in brand packaging. It was on wallpaper. It was usually paired with those renter-friendly paste-on wallpapers featuring Monstera, that whole Beverly Hills hotel look. It was everywhere. I, for one, I'm glad it was over because I did not partake in rose gold. I'm trying to think of all the items I owned, and maybe I have a blush pink sweater that was gifted to me, but I did not set out to buy rose gold, millennial pink, anything. Although I would have to confess that last year I bought my first blush pink item. I bought a pair of Crocs, and no, they were not the traditional Crocs. I know Gen Z loves a pair of Crocs. They like comfort, the it's so ugly, it's cool trend, but I did not buy your traditional pair of Crocs. I bought Crocs platform sandals because it reminds me of the 90s. That's another thing that millennials like. We love a good dive into 90s nostalgia. If you're an elder millennial like me, you'll have nostalgia for both the 80s and the 90s. I don't remember being coherent in the 80s, but I remember the 80s in the 90s, many a sitcom syndications such as Family Ties. I remember the Fox Sunday matinee where they would show all the 80s movies, Romancing the Stone, Aliens, Alien and Aliens, although Alien was in 1979. Definitely, I have nostalgia for the 90s. I kind of want to live in the 90s again. So that's another thing that millennials like. Millennials love to retread back to the 90s. As Gen Z has a nostalgia for the early 2000s, we have fond memories of the 90s. It was a simple time. It really was a simple time. We had our hardships. We had to tape stuff from TV. We had to contend with a lot of boredom. We had to contend with looking things up in books and encyclopedias. But we remember these hardships with fond memories. This is just what happens when you get old. You just remember the golden years of your youth, which is elementary school, because afterwards, it's all just downhill from there. Afterwards, once you reach adulthood, then you have to deal with bills, with jobs, with your existential existence. But when you were young, all you had to do was watch cartoons. I don't know if kids even watch cartoons nowadays. To be honest, they're probably starting their own business at 5, social media stars, entrepreneurs. Maybe they become crypto bros before they turn 10. I don't know what kids do nowadays. I have no child of my own, therefore I'm not around kids. I don't know what makes them tick. So after the next generation, after Gen Z, I'm gonna be completely removed, completely out of the loop, and completely uncool. Nobody's ever gonna call me grandma because I'm childless. I see the years of undisturbed sleep ahead of me. It's a hard price to pay for being childless, but somebody's gotta do it, and I can only feel sorry for myself. That's why I sleep so much. Let's talk about skinny jeans. Millennials, we love a nice pair of skinny jeans, keeping in mind for the elder millennials like me. We have been through wide leg. We have been through boot cuts in our actual Y2K moment. Then the skinny jeans came and we thought it was a revelation. My God, what a change. At first, in 2007, there were some style critics that were resistant to the skinny jeans, if you can believe it. They did not think it was very flattering if you had a big tush or big thigh area or whatnot. They are reminded that the skinny jeans came about in the 80s with the punk movement when wide legs, bootcut jeans became popular in the 90s, early 2000s. That was also a revelation. Let me tell you, when I was in the early 2000s, when I was a young girl in the early 2000s, I thought the bootcut, the flare legs, I thought they were so cool. And then when the skinny jeans came along, and I'm like, oh, those are over. Got to get rid of all of that. My entire wardrobe was skinny jeans. There was also a period where we had skinny jeans that were colorful bottoms, a nice Kelly green skinny jean, usually paired with a ballet flat. Ballet flats, that was our staple. Skinny jeans and the ballet flats. And the side part. I look back at movie stars in the 40s with their side part. Veronica Lake, a champion of the glamorous old Hollywood side part. I look at Lauren Bacall. She's rocking the side part. It's very flattering on a lot of faces. In the 90s, side part was huge. Do you remember DJ Tanner from Full House? She had a side part going on. So in the 90s, you grew out your hair and the side part had a little bit of volume to it. There was more volume right here than there is now. I actually think that the side part has just always been in. But the middle part has lived in harmony with the side part. And then all of a sudden, they're at war against each other. Why are you putting these two hairstyles together? They can live in peace with each other. I don't know why we are such a polarized nation now, why we have to polarize Democrats and Republicans and side parts and middle parts. Why can't we all just live in peace and be excellent to each other? There it is. Apparently, millennials, we all had a side part. Some of us are even daring enough not to have any parts in our hair. Some of us have bangs, fringes. In the MySpace days, every single girl I knew, except for me, I always had the same hair. Lazy side part has been with me since 8th grade. This is the hair that I've always had. Sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's a lot shorter. There was a time when I cut it off just like Felicity did. There was a time during the 90s when all these TV actresses, Michelle Williams and Dawson's Creek and Felicity started cutting off their hair into pixie cuts. And Carrie Russell chopped off her famous curly hair. Everybody was shook back then, and I also cut it off too. It was not on purpose. My mom brought me to a beauty salon, and I cut out a photo from 17. I said I wanted this which is just this short. And then he gave me a pixie cut. I don't know what he was doing. I think he was drunk. I got a pixie cut too. And some people told me to my face that I looked good in it. I think other people whispered about me. The going out top was made for one purpose and one purpose only, which is to go out. Duh. To hit the town in style. You don't wear it to work. It's a little too fancy for work. You don't wear it to garden. You don't wear it to the beach. Maybe you do. Why do I keep contradicting myself? You wear it to go out with the girls, go out to the bar, to hit the clubs in your skinny jeans and your stilettos. That was a moment a lot of working millennial women owned a going out top. But the question is, did I own any going out tops? I did not, because I never went out. Millennial hobbies. Number one being the charcuterie, the cheese board, some salami, fancy cheeses, dried apricots. You would always take a photo for Instagram. This is a very Instagrammable board. That's another thing that's associated with millennials. We began the age of Instagram. We began Instagramming our food, creating food to Instagram, aesthetically pleasing, rainbow colored milkshakes with entire cookies on them, over the top, pleasing, photographable food. Nostalgic cereals of our youth, Fruity Pebble, ice cream sandwiches, unicorn milkshakes, unicorn smoothies. We began sprinkling hot Cheetos over everything, hot Cheetos on your mac and cheese, hot Cheeto crusted lobsters. We began doing all of that for the sake of the gram. And restaurants began doing all that. Pop-up restaurants would appear. We $12, $15 milkshakes, started consuming honeycomb for some reason. We started consuming food that you would not normally consume. Restaurants innovated, restaurants created aesthetically pleasing, photo-worthy foods that were a bit over the top. In conjunction with that, restaurants created these Instagrammable walls, and you would always see tags of holding up their milkshake with a giant cookie or another milkshake on the Instagrammable wall. And there's always a neon sign associated with this wall, a neon sign in pink with a script. The script is a major thing, and it would have some kind of saying like, life is to be enjoyed. So the avocado toast is the number one thing that everybody pans millennials for. It's the food that the boomers has always criticized us for. They blame our addiction to avocado toast and expensive coffee for our financial ruin, for the fact that as a generation, we earn less than our parents did, for the fact that it's taken us so long to launch, to buy houses, to have a decent living, is because avocado toast and coffee. And that is a piece of... Another thing that millennials like, that Gen Z really hates about us, is our Harry Potter. We grew up with Harry Potter. We read Harry Potter in elementary school. For me, it was in high school. We really latched on to our houses. We read it during our formative childhood years. We are fiercely in love with it. We are fiercely loyal to it. We like to be sorted into the various houses. By the way, I sorted myself on Pottermore a long time ago, and I'm a Slytherin, haven't you guessed? Unlike my fellow millennials, I don't put my Harry Potter house in my profile, my Twitter profile, which is privatized, by the way. I don't want to talk to anybody on Twitter anymore. For some reason, we really are fiercely loyal to our houses. That annoys Gen Z. They think millennials need to grow up already. You are 30 years old. Why are you still in Hogwarts? They don't think much about J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling is destroying her legacy. She really just needs to get off Twitter. I miss a time when there was an aura of mystery around authors. They do their thing, they write their books, and then they disappear. Sometimes I don't want to know too much about a person. Don't want to know everything that's going on in their head. I certainly do not appreciate knowing that Hogwarts professors are probably taking a dump right in the Great Hall, one magic spell, and then their poop goes away. I don't appreciate that image. Please JK, this is too much information. Sorting oneself into a Hogwarts house appeals to the natural human affinity to just sort yourself into a team. I'm that Power Ranger. Obviously, you know what Power Ranger I claim myself to be. There was the only Asian one. Sailor Moon. Everybody had their favorite. I liked Sailor Jupiter for some reason. I don't know what she had to contribute to the team. People like to sort themselves into certain characteristics. They like to belong to a team. So I wouldn't be too quick to judge hapless millennials, because what are all these aesthetics that you are sorting yourself into now? Travel in the Instagram era, definitely something that I praise and blame millennials for. I praise them because we are going places that we normally wouldn't go. We went to your typical tourist destinations, but now because everybody's geotagging these locations, these previously undiscovered gems, these off the beaten path places, geotagging them, taking scrumptious photos, it's incited our wanderlust, and we are traveling places that we normally wouldn't go during the map and travel agency era. That's good for the local area, the local economy. However, that amount of foot traffic, that amount of tourism comes with a dark side, with some negatives. And the negatives being everybody wants to go there. Everybody wants to go to the poppy fields in spring. And as a result, people are trampling on these flower fields just to take the perfect Instagram photo. I remember this story when the poppy fields were in bloom and this helicopter descended into the middle of the field, landed right in the middle of the flowers so that this rich couple could take their photo. If they are millennials, I'm sorry. I'm sorry on behalf of our poorest specimen. I wouldn't say I blame millennials. I mean, people of all ages do it too, but I do blame Instagram for creating the ugly tourists. I've also heard that locals, while they welcome the tourist dollars, they also have problems with people flocking to otherwise isolated areas that may not have the infrastructure to accommodate hordes of people. People come and most of them are animals, to be honest. They litter. I don't know what's wrong with people that they don't make it into the toilet. Have you ever been to a public bathroom and somebody has just blown ass all over the toilet, on the wall, the toilet seat, on the floor? Not hard to take a dump in the toilet. Some people, they just decide to go to the bathroom in places where you shouldn't go to the bathroom. Have you ever tried to go to the Grand Canyon during the summer? You're jostling elbow to elbow with somebody. Hopefully nobody gets thrown off. Kind of ruins that feeling of, let me just look at the Grand Canyon. Let me just appreciate nature, appreciate the sunset, appreciate the majesty. You can't stand at the lookout point because everybody's trying to take their photo. In fact, there's a line. But whatever happened to appreciating where you're at? You don't have time to. There's too many people. I blame social media for that. On the other hand, there's many gems in the world that were previously undiscovered, such as Iceland, were it not for social media. So pros and cons, praise and blame. That's what millennials were here for, too, known for: travel. Embracing travel, discovering travel, enlightening us to their travels, to their wanderlust, and ruining it. Plants. I don't know when they began. All of a sudden, millennials became really interested in plants. Everybody started to have a sudden interest in plants and collecting plants and turning your apartments to a jungle. You see those very aesthetic Instagram photos of the bedroom covered in greenery. I remember watching a YouTube channel of this one lady living in Brooklyn, and her entire apartment was like a greenhouse. It was very beautiful, but at the same time, I wonder if it's a lot of work, because plants can't just really leave them alone. Some plants are really needy. Speaking from somebody who has killed her share of plants. Instead of a plant mom, I'm a plant murderer. I always think that I have like a natural instinct in raising my plants. It turns out I don't have any instinct at all. It turns out my instinct is for plant death. I recall a time when nobody was really interested in plants. When I was in college, nobody had a fern, a desktop, succulent, a hanging pothos. But then all of a sudden, everybody just became crazy with collecting plants. And I think it's because they give millennials a sense of a purpose, of accountability, of raising somebody. I mean, we're starting our families way later in life because we're not financially capable of starting a huge family in the early timeline that our parents did. So plants are kind of like our babies. Our plants and our dogs, which some may refer to their dogs as doggo, which I know it's very irritating to Gen Z. But if you can't have pets in your apartment, you have plants, and plants fill that void of being childless and petless. I recall it started with a succulent. In turn, there was a lot of art with succulents, other kinds of desert flora and fauna. Usually the succulent art would be in a minimalist design accompanied by that brush font, the Magnolia Holmes-esque calligraphy font, and amnatics. I can't read. This cutesy, whimsical font, it was everywhere. It was everywhere because it was free. We were just having a fun time with these plants. The succulents turned into pothos with the vine, to the donkey tail, to the money plants, the Phila. It was the Phila phoides. Don't you love how I try to say it and I have no idea how to say it? I don't even look it up or read it. I just kind of mumble and pretend that I know. Millennials and plants became an identity. People are calling themselves plant moms. You see it on t-shirts. You see it usually accompanied with a nice burnt orange arch in interior design. People like a nice terracotta pot. Also a geometric pot, the geometric shape, geometric grass, pendant lights, geometric animal renderings. We like geometry. I've noticed Gen Z doing a cultural flip-flop. They don't care for geometry. They like curves, curvy furniture. They like a postmodern table with a curve. They like counters with curves, bookshelves with curves. Jeans have been a controversial issue forever and always. It has always been this type of jean is in style, get rid of your former style. But now I see that we've arrived at a time when you can just wear any kind of silhouette that you want. Wide leg, trouser cut, straight leg, skinny jeans, whatever you want to do, just do it. Don't let anybody tell you that your jeans are cheugy. Right now, we've reached a tipping point. In the olden days, it was all about this is the cut of jeans everybody should have throughout last season's style. So, you know, in the 90s, mom jeans, and then baggy jeans, and then flare leg jeans had a huge moment in 97, slimming down to a boot cut. For many years, I wore boot cut. And then the skinny jeans came out, the jeggings. And I had one pair of jeggings. Don't worry, they were black, so they kind of just looked like black tights. I had a bunch of skinny jeans. And then last year when I heard that skinny jeans were out, I was a little concerned, but I ventured forth and got myself some straight legs, and I like that better because skinny jeans are very constricting, guys. And I like a nice roomy crotch. So now the straight leg allows my crotch to breathe. And my crotch, she likes air. I enjoy this straight leg. I'm not going into the wide leg. I used to wear wide legs before in high school. This was before inclusive sizing. So as a short person, we would have to DIY hem up our own pants. Everybody has such remarkable DIY abilities on YouTube and TikTok nowadays. I don't know what it is with me, but when I was in high school, neither I nor anybody I knew had a very crafty mindset. So we would hem our extremely long pants with staples. We would staple it up or we would tape it. Usually the staples worked. When it rained, pants got wet, pants dragged, it tore. It was a little gauche and sketchy back in the day. And whenever I look back at photos of myself in high school, I see myself with my extremely wide leg pants, Arizona jeans from JCPenney, and I see my DIY hem job, and I have immense regrets. One of the things that Gen Z really despises about millennials, and I tend to agree, is that feeling of superiority over the younger generation. The whole, I'm older than you, therefore I'm right.
No, you just keep your opinions to yourself because you're literally 6 years old. You're 12. You don't know nothing. You don't even know how to do anything. I don't even care about your opinion.
Or you're calling yoga pants, which millennials wore in the early 2000s, flared tights. You're telling us how to part our hair. There's that whole feeling of seniority means I'm better than you and I'm right. And the younger generation hates that. And I agree. Have you ever been in a company, your superior, your manager, your senior, whatever, somebody who's been at the company for longer than you, maybe a little too long, they just won't listen to any input or any innovations that you have to say because we've always been doing it like this. Don't tell me what to do. Don't give me any advice because I'm older than you. I've seen some things. I'm better than you. I'm smarter than you. Age does breed a bit of wisdom, but in general, from my observation of human nature, people just stop growing after 35. They stop growing in their 30s. The leopards have found their spot. Who you are in your 30s is honestly what you stubbornly, obstinately stay until you're old. You would like to think in movies, in books, you see people change, but in real life, I don't really see anybody changing. So that's depressing. In fact, I feel people are going back. I see people regressing. They're getting worse. That whole idea of seniority means superiority, that if somebody's older than you, that they've been at this company for a long time, they deserve your respect, and they don't need to listen to anything you have to say, any ideas you need to bring to the table, any fresh blood, any innovations. That whole idea is so dumb. They think they've learned everything there is to learn. That type of mentality is very annoying. It was annoying when boomers did it to millennials, and it's annoying when millennials do it to Gen Z. And Gen Z, you better watch out because you better not do it to the next generation. It's a generational curse to think that you're better than those who are younger than you. The saying goes, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. That's very true because they don't want to learn new tricks. Most of the stupid things I've heard people say in real life have been from people who are older than me. Stubborn and obstinate for the sake of being right. Disgusting. I've heard some stupid things from the younger generation as well, and my own generation. You know, the millennial meltdowns on TikTok, that was a dark day for my generation. I kind of go like, don't judge us by our lowest specimen. Glory days are glory days for a reason, but we can only look forward. We can't look back. Let's move forward, not back. Yes? No. Yes? No. Stupidity is contagious. Stupidity is all around us. Some may call me stupid, and many have.